Following a hugely successful 1991 campaign where he claimed the British and European heavyweight titles and established himself as one of the most dangerous contenders in the division, Lennox Lewis entered 1992 with real momentum. His performances had not gone unnoticed. By the start of the year, Ring magazine rated him as the number 9 heavyweight in the world, a remarkable rise for a man just 3 years into his professional career. At the very top of the rankings sat the established names of the era: Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Ruddock, and Ruddock. These were the fighters seen as the true kings of the heavyweight landscape, and the men Lewis needed to beat if he was ever to become a world champion. 1992 would prove to be a defining year. It was the year when Lennox Lewis stepped out from being viewed as a promising prospect and into the conversation as a genuine threat to the heavyweight throne. And he did it by scoring a crushing victory over one of the division's top 4 fighters, a win that shook up the entire heavyweight picture and announced Lewis as a legitimate world title contender. Fight 19, February 1st, 1992, Caesars Palace, Las Vegas. For his 19th professional contest, Lennox Lewis stepped onto the biggest stage of his career so far, Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. His opponent was Levi Billups, a durable American heavyweight with a record of 16 wins and 5 defeats. Billups was no pushover. He entered the fight off the back of an impressive unanimous decision victory over former WBA champion James Bone Crusher Smith. However, his career had also shown vulnerabilities. Just a few months earlier, in June 1991, he had been stopped in 3 rounds by the hard-hitting Michael Moorer. The fight marked Lewis's Las Vegas debut, a key milestone in his rise to international recognition. However, the performance itself was not one that thrilled the crowd. Lewis dominated the contest from start to finish, controlling the action behind his jab and never allowing Billups to get into range. But despite his clear superiority, Lewis was unable to break through Billups's guard or finish the fight inside the distance. After 10 one-sided rounds, the bout went to the scorecards, where Lewis was awarded a wide unanimous decision victory. While the win kept his unbeaten record intact, it was viewed as a somewhat disappointing outing, given the anticipation of a more explosive performance in his Vegas showcase debut. Still, Lewis had gained valuable experience, proving he could comfortably handle a tough, seasoned opponent over the full distance. Fight 20, April 30th, 1992, Royal Albert Hall, London. After making his Las Vegas debut earlier in the year, Lennox Lewis returned home to the Royal Albert Hall for one of the most significant fights of his career to date. Standing across the ring was fellow Brit Derek Williams, who entered with a record of 19-4 and held the Commonwealth heavyweight title. Williams was a solid domestic contender, but many felt he lacked the tools to truly trouble Lewis. His record already included 2 defeats to Jean-Maurice Chenet, a man Lewis had beaten convincingly in 1990 to claim the European crown. On this night, however, there was much more on the line than just the belts. With the British, European, and Commonwealth titles all at stake, Lewis had the opportunity to win the prestigious Lonsdale Belt outright, a milestone achievement for any British fighter. The fight began cautiously, with the opening 2 rounds largely tactical, as Lewis worked behind his jab. But in the third, the momentum shifted dramatically. Lewis exploded with a devastating combination, landing 2 uppercuts, 1 from each hand, followed by a concussive right hand. Williams, unable to recover, was stopped for the first time in his professional career. The emphatic victory not only unified the 3 major titles under Lewis's control, but also elevated him further toward the world stage. By securing the Lonsdale Belt outright, Lewis added his name to the history books of British boxing, while showcasing the kind of power and precision that marked him out as a future world champion. Fight 21, August 11th, 1992, Atlantic City, New Jersey. Following his emphatic victory over Derek Williams to claim the British, European, and Commonwealth titles outright, Lennox Lewis traveled back across the Atlantic for what was very much seen as a keep-busy fight. His opponent was Mike Dixon, who entered with a record of 10-5. On paper, Dixon was not expected to trouble Lewis, but he did have some durability, He had gone the distance with both Corey Sanders and Bruce Seldon in his two previous outings, and had never been stopped. For Lewis, the fight came at a time when his reputation was quickly rising on the world stage. He was already ranked number 2 by both the WBC and WBO, and number 4 with the IBF and WBA, edging closer to a shot at the sport's biggest prizes. Once the bell rang, there was little doubt about the outcome. Lewis controlled the bout effortlessly, working behind his jab and imposing his size and power. Dixon was outgunned from the outset, gradually worn down under a steady barrage of punches. By the 4th round, with Dixon absorbing heavy punishment and offering little in return, the referee mercifully stepped in to wave the fight off. It was a dominant performance that reinforced Lewis's status as one of the top heavyweights in the world. Though not his toughest test, the victory showcased his discipline and consistency, keeping him sharp and perfectly positioned for the defining fight of his career that awaited just 2 months later. Fight 22, October 31st, 1992. Earls Court Exhibition Hall, London. By late 1992, Lennox Lewis was no longer just the rising star of British boxing. He was on the verge of breaking into heavyweight superstardom. And to do so, he had to go through one of the most dangerous contenders of the era, Donovan "Razor" Ruddock. Ruddock was no ordinary opponent. In 1991, he had shared the ring twice with Mike Tyson in what were billed as eliminators for the undisputed heavyweight crown. In the first bout, Tyson had won by 7th round stoppage, a decision that Ruddock's camp fiercely protested as premature. The rematch, held just 3 months later, went the distance, with Tyson emerging victorious by unanimous decision. Despite back-to-back losses, Ruddock had proven his toughness, his trademark smash left hook, and his status as one of the most feared punchers in the division. With Tyson now out of the picture due to his conviction and imprisonment, Ruddock inherited the WBC #1 ranking. Lewis, the undefeated 1988 Olympic gold medalist, was ranked number 2. That set the stage for a massive showdown in London, with the winner guaranteed a crack at the victor of the upcoming Evander Holyfield versus Riddick title fight. The build-up was intense. At the press conference, Ruddock's promoter Murad Muhammad accused Lewis of using steroids, throwing extra spice into an already high-stakes matchup. The oddsmakers had Ruddock as the 2-1 favorite, and many believed the more seasoned contender would be too much for the relatively untested Brit. But when the bell rang, it was Lennox Lewis who announced himself as a true force in the heavyweight division. From the outset, Lewis used his thudding jab to dictate the pace and nullify Ruddock's offense. For almost the entire first round, he kept Ruddock off balance and unable to land his big shots. Then, with just 10 seconds left in the round, Lewis struck, unleashing a lightning-quick right hand that dropped Ruddock heavily to the canvas. Though Ruddock survived the count, the damage was clear. Lewis smelled blood. Early in the second, he cornered Ruddock and let loose a vicious combination that sent him down for the second time. Again, Ruddock beat the count, but Lewis was relentless. A third blistering barrage of punches floored Ruddock once more, and referee Joe Cortez immediately stepped in, waving the fight off. In just 2 rounds, Lennox Lewis had scored the biggest win of his career to date, a stunning knockout over a man considered among the world's most dangerous heavyweights. The victory was seismic. 2 weeks later, Riddick dethroned Evander Holyfield to become undisputed heavyweight champion. Per the agreement, Bo's first defense was supposed to be against Lewis. But when negotiations broke down, most notably over a proposed 90-10 purse split, the fight collapsed. Bo even went so far as to dump the WBC belt in a trash can at a press conference, refusing to fight Lewis. The WBC responded by awarding the title to Lewis, who had earned it the hard way in the ring. Lewis, for his part, mocked Bo with the now infamous nickname Chicken Bo. This was the night Lennox Lewis arrived as a world-class heavyweight, a destructive 2-round demolition that announced to the division and the world that the British champion was now a major player on boxing's biggest stage.